my name is Darren Johnson, and as was said earlier, I'm a careers advisor that works within the UEA Careers Service, Careers Central, and I've got real pleasure to be able to come in today and talk on this webinar about the support that's actually provided for international students. So basically, we have a range of support available to international students. And this is really around helping you to build around your skills development for employability. So that can involve actually helping you with activities to build on your CV, to gain work experience, which could include paid work such as internships, as well as volunteer work. There may be some of you here today who are listening in who might be thinking of actually wanting to start up your own businesses after your courses. So we have support there around business coaching, for example, and we can help you to access many jobs through our employer team and through our vacancies database as well. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time just going through really how we help you around your kind of employability skills development. So at the current time, the Careers Service physical building is actually closed, but myself, who's a careers advisor, and all my colleagues are currently working from home, and we are still providing what we call one-to-one support sessions for all students. So these include things like quick queries, which are 15-minute appointments, where at the current time students are Skyping in or they're emailing in. We are checking and giving feedback on CVs. We are helping students with just general inquiries for things related to getting work experience, doing volunteer work, for example, finding internships or jobs after their actual courses. We are providing mock interviews. So there are students out there that are actually getting interviews at the moment with companies. We are finding that many companies are still recruiting at the current time. So our most recent liaison with the Institute of Student Employers, which is a large organisation in the United Kingdom, which represents many graduate employers in the United Kingdom, at the current time is saying there's still 73% of their member employers have not said that they're actually dropping their actual recruitment numbers. So we still do know that employers are recruiting out there and students having mock interviews. So you get time to practice an interview and you get feedback from us, and that's really, really helpful, particularly if you're looking for work in the UK, you're new to the UK recruitment and selection market. Really helpful for your confidence to get that practice and to get some positive feedback on how you can develop further, so that when you do go for those real interviews, for things like internships or part-time jobs or graduate level jobs, for example, you feel as confident and as positive as you can be, hopefully, to actually get that job. Then we also offer guidance appointments as well. So we do work with a lot of international students on a one-to-one basis, particularly where you might be finding it difficult to get clarification over the type of job role that you may be seeking to go into. You're maybe not certain in terms of what you can actually do as a career or job after your course of study, or even during your course of study. So those guidance appointments are very much to help you gain clarification on the options and to actually help you with setting some actions in terms of what to do next to hopefully make the right decisions for you. So for some of our programs at UEA, or for many programs, there's the opportunity to do placements or placement years. So we have a separate team of staff within Careers Central that are actually dedicated to work with those students who are on year in industry or placement years as part of their programs, and they help and they work and coach you through helping you do really good CVs, really good job applications, coaching you on where to find suitable vacancies, and obviously coaching you on how to do really good interviews and perform well in assessment days, which many employers run. So whilst we don't guarantee and just hand out internships or placements, for example, what we're there to do is actually support you through every step of the way to develop the skills that you're going to need to perform through that kind of selection process and hopefully be successful in being offered an actual position. So as I mentioned earlier, business coaching as well through the Enterprise Centre. So particularly for any students that are listening today, and people listening in today, that are actually really thinking already that maybe at some point they want to try and start up their own business. And it's very important to note that as an international student, unfortunately, you cannot start up your own business while you're a student, but there are options after you've actually graduated to actually set up your business and actually work in the UK. So again, these things aren't just sort of handed out to individuals, but we have a coaching team. So Finbar Cartett and Sophie Cox are our coaching advisors that can work through your business ideas, help you to construct really good business plans to hopefully be able to actually possibly gain the funding and the opportunity to be able to stay and either work in the UK, or you might want to take your actual business plan and idea back to your home country after your studies as well. So at the current time, just being very honest with you, at the current time, all of these support sessions are available to our current international students. And if obviously we find ourselves still in a similar situation when term starts back in September, you can be confident that all these types of activities will still be there for support, but they may be being offered through a virtual platform such as Skype, telephone, or Microsoft Teams. So moving on, just to touch a little bit on our online resources as well in terms of the support that we offer. So through our actual website, mycareercentral.uea.ac.uk, you'll find a wealth of really useful online resources. And many of our international students find the combination of speaking to staff on a one-to-one, but also going away and doing their research and developing their employability skills online as well is a very good kind of combination to do. So there's some fantastic resources on building your CV, lots of examples of different types of CV templates, examples within our resource hub. And again, particularly for working in the UK. So I know some of you here today thinking of maybe getting a part-time job, for example, when you come to university. So again, we provide lots of support to help you build your CVs, know where to look for job vacancies and job sources to hopefully help you to actually enter those types of positions. So lots of job seeking advice, and I've mentioned the interview help before, but also we have simulated an interview simulator on our website for you to practice in your own time and get feedback. Obviously a job portal where you can actually find opportunities for things like volunteering, part-time work, graduate level jobs and placements, and very useful for those of you that may decide to come and study here, and you still want to get a real strong sense of what your actual career options or job options might be for after your actual course of study. In our My Options section of our website, we have up-to-date information in terms of the types of destinations that our UEA graduates go into from various courses here. So, there's a lot of really useful information online there as well. And obviously, some students every year do kind of consider, finding global job opportunities as well. And again, at the current time, we're finding that some of the positions that are being made available with some recruiters, these are virtual to work from home at the moment. Obviously, we can't predict at the moment how things or when things will actually change in terms of the lockdown. But obviously, there is this resource hub that you can actually use to look for actual global work opportunities. So again, that could be paid work, volunteer work, that sort of things. We have country guides, and we do have global events running at UEA as well. So again, at the current time, we can't predict for the absolute future whether these will be held on campus, but our teams are working to do something virtually as a minimum, like a virtual kind of global fair or global event. So just to touch on very, very quickly, volunteering as an actual option. So, and again, many international students you'll see in the last academic year So we collect data on how our students engage with various things through Career Central. 20% of our international students have actually volunteered in some way or form through the last academic year. And many of our opportunities, they're often involved in working with charitable organisations. They could be with local schools, for example, local hospitals. And at the current time, I've just been very honest with you, we are finding that some of these organisations are still very, very keen to recruit. So we have over 100, I think we have 100, I'd say around about 190 volunteer vacancies on our website at the moment. But many of those are now virtual. So I mentioned things like the NHS and the hospitals, for example. So we've got many of our students are virtual volunteers who are calling in on elderly people, for example, that live in isolation on their own, have no family or friends, and just checking in on them, you know, checking things are okay, signposting them to other help and support services. So for many students, they do this type of activity because it helps them to learn new skills. If your first language is not English, for example, and you're keen to stay and work in the UK after your studies finish, one of the challenges that some students have is if they have not developed those spoken English skills while they've been on their studies, it's very difficult to persuade an employer why they should actually take you for a position, particularly if you're trying to be sponsored to stay and work in the United Kingdom. But even with the competition that's out there, you know, with all other candidates, anything that you can do to develop your spoken English skills is really going to enhance your opportunities to gain work if you're looking to the UK after your studies to work in the UK. So it's about learning new skills, building your networks with other people, for example, and other volunteers. So I know for a fact at the moment, many of our virtual volunteers are hooked up through a virtual platform where they can talk and support with one another, and to experiment with potential career choices as well. So test the waters with particular job areas to see if this could be the right kind of environment for you to work in. But also for work and life balance, so to communicate with others and be part of the community. You know, many students decide to do this. Great thing to add to your CV for future jobs as well. Many employers really like to see students that have been proactive and often look for that kind of altruistic where you want to give something back to society, or you might have very strong values and beliefs and want to get involved in a particular cause, promote a particular message. So these are some great things to think about in relation to gaining volunteering. So as you see on our website, the Career Central website, it's very easy to search through the type of work section. And as I said, at the moment, at the current time, we have over, I think it's about 190 opportunities still being advertised, many which are actually virtual for students to actually engage with. We also have the UEA internships, so very specific, obviously, to the University of East Anglia, just for our own students. So these are ring-fenced just for University of East Anglia students. They're mainly local opportunities in the Norwich and Norfolk area. They're paid opportunities as well, and they can be available in term time and also the vacation and post-graduation periods as well, and can often fit around your studies. So I've seen some internships in the past academic year that have just been 7 hours a week to fit around your studies, and others that have been up to you know, 20 to 30 hours a week as well. So again, you have to check very, very carefully if you do decide to come and study at UEA, what your working permissions are. Most of our international students can work 20 hours a week in the term time and full time in the vacation. But again, you should just have to check very, very carefully on your letter of approval, which is the Tier 4 letter of approval in terms of what exactly you can do. So when I say 20 hours, that's the maximum that students can work in term time. So, and I just thought I'd give you a little bit of facts around this. So in the last academic year, 12% of the internships, the UEA internships that were offered, were actually successfully taken up by international students. So they had to apply, get their CVs and cover letters up and running, and interview for these positions in competition with UK and EU students. And 12% of those internships actually went to our international students, which is a good representation, basically, in line with how many international students are actually on the campus for those positions. So they're great opportunities to really develop your employability skills, get some really good work experience, and also, again, if you're a student that's really keen to stay and work in the UK after your studies, can really help you to stand out from the competition when it comes to applying for jobs in the future. So these are just one or two examples that we actually have at the moment on our actual website. So again, we're quite late in the academic year at the moment, so there won't be lots and lots of opportunities, but just to give you a snapshot, so we've got things like a trainee financial advisor, which is one of our graduate internships to start in the summer months. We've got a trainee recruitment consultant, so that's human resources type work. We've also got sustainability internships as well, so people very much interested in working in the environment in some way or form, that side of things. Commonly throughout the year, we get quite a lot of digital marketing, social media type roles as well for our internships as well. So they constantly change all through the year. But the great thing is, as I say, these are only open to our actual UEA students. So we also have a mentoring program as well that's run through Careers Central. And again, something to really kind of consider if you do decide to come and study here. And there's actually 3 different tracks that you can choose from. And I guess I just want to talk very briefly just about the actual benefits and value of engaging with a mentor. So part of our team of staff at Careers Central, they are dedicated to actually engaging with people both regionally, nationally and internationally, to try and get people on board to be mentors for our actual students. So many of our mentors, they come from a vast range of different kinds of career areas. Many are very senior in their positions, so, or some are actually retired, just recently retired, so have lots of time on their hands to actually work with you as a mentor. So it's a fantastic opportunity if you are particularly already focused on a particular job role or career pathway, and you'd like to be mentored by someone who's actually worked in that kind of role or a similar role and been very, very successful in that role, who can give you a really good insight into that pathway, but also some really good advice in terms of how you can make the best use of your time as a student. And also, some of our mentors are very well connected and have very good networks in their industries. And that sometimes can lead, it's not always guaranteed, but it can lead to the offer of some work experience in very competitive fields. So we have the Insider Insights program, which is just a one-off session. So if you feel like you haven't got a lot of time as you're going through your studies, but you'd like to meet with a mentor just once to get an insight into a particular industry, you might want to look at that. We have a longer term 6-month mentoring program as well, where you're engaging, again, you agree with your mentor how many times you would like to meet with them each month, for example, and what types of activities you want to discuss and talk around. And then we have the business startup mentoring program. So again, we have people on our books, on our mentoring program, that have been very successful entrepreneurs. They've set up their own businesses and been very successful, and they want to come back and talk and mentor current students that are really keen to set up their own businesses. So it's great to give you inspiration and help you to stay motivated and focused on your different pathways. So at the moment, we have 140 plus global mentors. At the current time, obviously, all our mentors are working virtually, so they're still engaging with our students, still doing mentoring just through virtual platforms. And this is just a snapshot of one or two of them. So we've got people like Roland, who work in fixed income sales for a banking group, Thomas, who is a director of commercial debt recovery, Michael, a business consultant, and Young, who's a training producer for a financial publishing organization. But like I say, we have many different types of mentors in many different types of career areas. So what we encourage our students to do is, and you can actually find out more at the following link about mentoring. Just filling in a basic form basically, and then we work to match you with an actual mentor. So obviously other types of opportunities and work experience, part-time jobs. So again, very popular with many of our students and our international students as well. So again, at the current time, obviously we've seen a little bit of change with part-time jobs where before we went into the lockdown in the UK, many of our students may have been working in positions on campus or in the local city areas within retail stores, for example. We are still seeing vacancies come up, and they come up on our website, which we advertise to our students, particularly in the food and retail supermarkets. So some employers are actually having to employ more staff at the current time to help with the situation. But those non-essential type of retail stores, unfortunately, many of those are not open at the moment. So there's been a slight drop there with the actual sort of physical jobs that are being offered. But on the flip side of that as well, some of our part-time jobs, again, are being offered to do virtually from home, particularly where it might be helping out with social media campaigns, some forms of digital marketing, that side of things, where you can actually work from the comfort of your own home. We obviously do advertise through our database as well other internship opportunities outside of the UEA internships. So these could be regional, national, and global. So it could be small companies, large corporations, and startup companies as well, which again, at the moment, we're seeing that there are a few opportunities even for current students to work virtually from home for startups as well. Obviously, our placements team work very carefully with employers to try and generate placements for students that are on placement year programs and year in industry programs, and our graduate jobs as well. So we have key members of staff that just work purely with graduate employers around graduate jobs. So we currently have 90 new vacancies in many different types of career and sector areas. And as I mentioned earlier, the Institute of Student Employers that represents many graduate employers in the UK, still at this time, 73% are still recruiting for the same numbers before we went into the actual coronavirus lockdown. So although there's been a little bit of a drop, still positive in a sense that 73% are still recruiting in some way or form. So staff like myself, careers advisors, we do collaborate with our schools as well. So depending on the courses that you may decide to choose to come and study, you will see us come in to do induction talks with you to talk and remind you about the support available from Careers Central. We do very specific workshops within different schools. So I work with MBS, Psychology and Economics, for example, and we run sessions such as CV applications, interviews, sourcing job vacancies, for example. And some schools have quite large events. So the business school, for example, runs the Employability Week, which is normally every November. Obviously, we cannot say for certain how this will be run for November 2020. But if employers are not able to come onto campus, we will be looking at doing something virtually with recruiters. So that Employability Week is where we get lots of graduates from the university who are now successful in many different job roles. They will come back and actually talk about different areas of business. So we have things like marketing, we have things like management, accounting and finance, working in business roles internationally. So many of those things we'll be able to set up virtually if we're not able to get employers onto campus. And we'll still be running those skills workshops that we do as well as part of that week. So some form of provision will actually be there. And you'll find other schools will run their own similar events as well. And then we also do school drop-ins. So I talked about quick queries sessions run through Careers Central, but we also do these through our schools as well to make appointments as accessible as possible to all students. Just a few more minutes before I finish. So employer events is a key part of our service at Careers Central, and it's a fantastic way for international students to actually engage and network with a range of employers. As I said, at the current time, we can't confirm whether these will be virtual or on campus at the moment. but all our staff are actually working to at least provide something virtually if we can't do something on campus. So each year we have an annual recruitment fair, which is normally in October. And that's where we have a range of large companies that offer internships, placements, graduate level jobs, but we also have volunteer organisations in the local area that will talk to you about their opportunities. And we also have global opportunities as well as part of that big fair. So normally our recruitment fair has over 90 different employing organisations represented. So as I say, we'll be working on doing something virtually if we don't have some sort of physical event in October. We also have the Global Opportunities Week, which is usually in February. And again, this is where we have organisations that offer opportunities for students and graduates to go and work in other countries, either in their vacations or after their studies. And we have some of our graduates that come back who have done various opportunities working overseas. So again, we're working on doing something at least virtually if we have to in February. And then we also have a range of sector-specific events as well. So working in particular types of industries. So normally this can be around things like working in finance and professional services, working within the environment, working within charities, for example, working in education and social reform, where we have a number of recruiters. So these are much smaller events. And you hear about the opportunities that they offer. You hear about successful UEA graduates that have gone to work in these companies. And then there's often time for questions and answers at the end of these sessions. So as a minimum, we'll be working to provide, again, if we can't do campus-based programs, we will be doing virtual types of events. So can't give you a straight answer for that at the moment, I'm afraid, but just being very honest, because we don't know for the future where we're going to be with this, but there'll be some type of provision. Okay, and kind of finally, you might want to consider also what we call the UEA award. So again, very specific to UEA, and this, many of our international students do engage with this because it's a great opportunity to take time to reflect on the skills and what we call attributes or personal qualities that you are developing as you go through your studies at UEA. And you get a chance to actually record these through creating a good CV. If you take your award to a silver level, you get the opportunity to actually articulate those skills and attributes through a video interview, which is really good experience because more and more recruiters are actually using these types of selection processes as part of their recruitment. So it's great for you to actually demonstrate the ability to articulate these. Great practice for if you then go for interviews for real jobs in the future. And makes you feel confident that you can perform well for your CV applications and interviews. And it's a great addition to add on to your CV. So many recruiters will actually recognise the UEA award, you know, as a student that's really taken that extra step to develop themselves both personally and professionally as well.